Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. We are based in Seoul, South Korea, and our firm name is Mass Studies. Does it work that way? As some of you probably know, Seoul is a planned city that started 621 years ago, and you can see there's where it began, which is the palace. About 100 years ago, city was about 100,000 people. And a century later, it's 11 million. So we grew more than 100 times. The whole area of metropolitan region is about half the Korea population, which is 23 million, one of the largest city, I think. And the mass studies, when we started our firm 12 years ago, we were quite interested in this holy trinity of this modus operandi of this booming Asian town, which is the bigger and faster and cheaper situation. So we had experimented in a critical way, I think quite intensely with few high-rise buildings at the very beginning. We had a very strange, maybe unusual trajectory as a firm that we were four of us at the beginning. 2 years later, we were almost 40, 39, because we were so consumed by this very large project, which was about 55,000 square meter, 100-meter tall building. And then somehow now we're about 19 architects and 10 people and that compose of 2 chefs and 2 promising architecture curators and other type of people in the office, which is a size that I like. And this project, which started 2006, in fact, took us the longest time, which is six years. And the one that I mentioned before, this bigger, faster, cheaper, the largest project took us 5 years. So this is we've done even smaller project, but this is about 830 square meter building. And you can see the context, very old context. I'm not going to get to the other sort of the semi-tabula rasa condition, but this is small wooden one-story houses on a hill. So it's very topographic. And next to the palace where the servant used to live, but then you can see these modern sort of developments in patches. And because thanks to this fast economic growth over the last 40 years, we more or less just wiped out these things like a birthday cake and replaced so many of these authentic urban sort of areas that we have such a small district like this. So, and then it becomes this kind of a most regulated and tough place to do a new building. So this whole process has been quite a challenge for us, and we went through like 4 different committee presentation and end up changing 11 times, and then to get to the point that we actually got a death sentence because it was not appropriate. And then somehow the regulation become much more sensible that this road that our building is facing is built in the 1970s, and it's actually there's much buildings that need to be preserved. So they become much more detailed, and then so that's what took us that long. And so it's almost at certain conditions that we discover there's a whole cliche of this Asian the mad development, but it's also certain conditions are quite extremely opposite, that you're almost given this condition that is like a last piece of puzzle that you have to work with the mostly given condition. So this was what it used to be, and which is the old house with this built in the 70s, and they were using it as a art exhibition space, but it was not sufficient space. And you can see more in context that these are the old houses, the courtyard small houses that is nicely preserved, and this is this new road that was made like 40 years ago. And this is also a very important factor, because this was let me see, the site itself is also quite unique shape. It's about 300 square meter. And the building that I was pointing out across the street, this is a birthplace of a second Korean president. So it become a landmark, although it's not a important traditional house, but because of the person who was born. So we have to follow the restriction of 27 degree to protect this view from the garden. So this area was designated for 150% FAR, but we were able to build only half of it. And the client, actually, reason why client wanted to have a new building was they need a larger space for art exhibition. So that was a sort of a primary challenge. And this probably is a prime example of a context-driven masterpiece, flat iron building. But of course, the triangular shape is maybe 50 times larger than our site. And then we got this also. So, yeah, it's much smaller. And also the site has a 3-meter drop. So it's quite almost, you don't have to do anything to create a form to maximize. And it become quite a charming, we thought, shape. And what we suggested to client was, because they cannot build the area that they want for the gallery, so what if you just put it underground, because you can build more than 60% site coverage. So actually the site has, the corner has this window that you can look down to 8 meters deep. That's the art gallery. And then this corner, it become more of a social and meeting space for this small non-profit art space that is run by a corporation which is specialized in steel manufacturing. So you can see that here, that is 2 levels of basement. So it's a 5-story building, although it doesn't appear that way. And then the middle floor is like a semi-underground, semi-above ground because of the level change. That was, we were barely managed to squeeze 7 parking lots that is required proportionally to the area. So you have this concrete space, which is also quite nice when it's empty, and usually also used as entry for the gallery space. And then what you're looking at is opening here, and then the gallery, and then this is a kitchen for the restaurant, upper level. And what you're looking at is also, we call this kind of building structurally is like a silent acrobat. Because when, you know, we tend to do a structurally challenging building, we try to make it very showy. Maybe, you know, like if architecture is like a frozen dance, it's more like a ballet. There is about the kick and it defying the gravity. But this one doesn't look that way, but it's quite strangely supported by these things, which is also, this thing is actually a major beam that is spanning, triangular shape. This is just an envelope. And this whole thing is a beam. And it changes its appearance. And also you can see from here, almost half of the building is floating. And we thought it's very important to sort of lighten up the corner, because we were a little bit apologetic to occupy that part. Although before it was like really to the edge in this stone, sort of like a retaining wall. And then another challenge was that because it was a steel company, that they asked us to use their product. And we are sure we can maybe try to make a whole building out of steel, but that was not really feasible, especially when you dig so deep. What they suggest was this, it's like a giant toilet paper, 0.5 millimeter thick, galvanized steel, but painted rolls, so you can continuously paint. And that was their best seller. And then they had this, the most common product was like almost hyper-realistic brick pattern or wooden pattern, things like that. So maybe can you customize it? So we actually come up with a quite simple muted texture, but it's just basically gray. But what we did was fabrication of it. So basically we come up with 5 different width. Basically these are the channels, but sawtooth in plan. So somehow we said it's like a pleated building, and of course, our clients, she was like, oh yeah, it's like a Issey Miyake dress. So yeah, sure, definitely. And um, yeah, but the challenge was also it goes as high as 11 meter tall. So to actually fold that was quite a challenge, but we managed to do that. And it's nice because a lot of people say they had to touch it somehow. So as they walk this small alley, because first they think it's casted or something. It's casted concrete pattern, the lining. But then they realize it's actually a painted steel. So you can see. And then start from the upper level, we have small mezzanine, which is used for an office. And what we did was one of those major regulations that we were able to, didn't allow us to build the fully, but only the half become the major feature. So entire thing is a glass, but you have almost 5 layers of filtering the natural light. So there's no direct natural light. First, the major beams are 4 centimeter thick steel. Again, we use a lot of steel. And then below is what goes perpendicular, which is a horizontal line, which is a mullion. And then there's another layer of east-west running so that you can block the sun. And then also the expanded metal in between the glasses on top. So you get actually quite nice patterns during the day. And this is the office. And then you're looking at the restaurant below. But also you have a great view of this corner. Also the person can look up easily. And you can sort of get the whole idea looking down 8 meters up and then 11 meters above. So you almost have this 20-meter vertigo experience in a strange way. And this is a French restaurant. Also, it didn't take us much to convince our client to do this franchise thing, but because they are very respectful of our opinion, but also they actually live like 2 doors away. They're actually real locals there. And often it becomes quite a destination for some gatherings, as many as 70 people. And then you're looking at 7 parking lot and the kitchen behind. And this is how you enter. And this triangular wall is this very heavy weightlifting duty. You can see the street level person passing through. And this is the basement, the second basement. You have a void in the middle, and the side shape is strange, but we try to make it as easy, sort of a nice, neutral as possible. And the bottom, which is the widest floor. Also, nice thing is this is above here is a street level. Typically, you go to art gallery and then you have this high space and we have a skylight. But this one is actually reversed, right? You're like an angel descending from the skylight, and it's become quite a unique experience. And I'll show you some of these. What happened? It's been almost 2 years, and for us, architecture is really not a goal. I think it's what kind of divides before building, after building. I think it has a sort of a nice performance ability. So it's this gallery is devoted to contemporary Asian and Korean art. So it's been, and also they have a residency program. So there's some artists using our stairwells, and even this was actually a very exciting moment. In between the exhibition, there was a performance festival, and it was like a totally empty space. They used it as sort of a, audience can only be above and look down, and it was actually a very intimate experience. And some Korean well-known pop artists, this was a group show, and so on. And then this one is a Chinese artist. He's quite famous, but he came and he was very inspired, and apparently he measured everything so carefully, this space, this 2-story space, and actually built a replica in his giant studio. And he actually brought his phantasmagoric installation with this, it was really crazy, like all mirrors, so it's become very expensive. And then lastly, this was actually an interesting evolution because it's a very recent show that they first decided to host architecture exhibition every year. So there's this ambitious young architect who was very inspired by this the challenging structure, and he kind of come up with his own very challenging structure actually, and it's going to be dismantled, and they're going to put it somewhere outside. Yeah, this was actually the model for that. So this looked like that. So it's actually this is this very convoluted moment. But lastly, for me, the most exciting performance the moment here is that I think this couple, maybe they have a first date over French dining without quite realizing what kind of structurally not dangerous, but exciting, thrilling sort of a position they're sitting on. And I'm going to end this here. So thank you very much.